Have something on that tomorrow.
And just as a quick follow-up on the MTA, can you assure commuters that 24-hour service will resume?
Can you assure me? Yes. When is the question? You tell me when the global pandemic is over, I'll tell you when the 24-hour service resumes. You go first.
Does that mean when there's a vaccine?
No, it's just when the pandemic is not problematic to this extent.
To follow up on the question regarding the president, he's also griping in the New York Post in terms of the fact that the two senators, Senator Schumer and Gillibrand, have not called in. We see this from the president from time to time. It becomes personal for him. How much of what you think what's going on now is personal for him versus politics? Do you think there's some his feelings being hurt? We hear a lot about that. You've managed him pretty well in your relationship with him. So just your reaction to that, to him.
Look, I think it's all of the above, right? First, on the mismanagement of the state. This state was doing very, very well before coronavirus. Lower taxes, highest number of jobs in history. We were doing great. I wasn't asking for a nickel from the federal government, and we weren't getting anything from the federal government. So it has nothing to do with decades of mismanagement. The only decades of mismanagement really is on the federal side with that inequity for decades. New York State has been subsidizing the federal government for decades. That is a numerical fact. It's not an opinion. It's not rhetoric. It's not hyperbole. It's a fact. They're numbers. They're numbers. We put in more than we get out. So that's that on that issue. I don't even think the president started this fight. I think this is the Republicans' fight. This is the Republicans in the Senate are saying, we come from Republican states. Why should we give any money to Democratic states? Which is just a really selfish, narrow, isolationist, divisive, partisan opinion, right? If New Yorkers took that stand, then nobody should have paid federal taxes for the past 30 years because we were giving them money, right? And there was no crisis. It was just an annual, we are a relatively rich state, so we give Florida $30 billion every year. So that's where it started. The president now articulated that theory in the Post. And if he is adopting that theory, that he also believes we shouldn't help Democratic states deal with the coronavirus fallout, I think it is partisan, it is divisive, and it is self-defeating. Because the Democrats in the House cannot be fooled again. And they cannot pass a bill that doesn't provide help to the people they represent. The congressional members from New York cannot pass another bill that does not provide help to the people they represent. They can't do that and then come home and stand before the people they represent. So if the president doesn't figure out how to bridge this divide, he will have no legislation. And if he doesn't have legislation, he will have failed as a leader, which is problematic on a number of levels. And more importantly, this nation will suffer. So I think it is a bad road for the president to go down. Now, is part of it personal with the senators? Look, he has said to me, one of the main fights I had with the president was on a program called SALT. It was a tax change that ended state and local tax deductibility, which took this New York incongruity where we give more than we get back, and it put it on steroids. It ended our deduction of state and local taxes. And it cost us $14 billion more every year. And that was a really aggressive, negative, punitive action against New York, in my opinion. It was this partisanship. It took more money from the Democratic states to give to the Republican states. That's what it did, SALT. And I had a clear disagreement with the president about it on a number of occasions. And the president, in fairness, back then said that the senators hadn't fixed it and the senators should have fixed it. So this is a long-running issue with him.
Andrew Stewart,
Last week,
Let me just see if I can get to everyone.
thank you. Last week, you made a reference to Brazil.